What's up guys, Fred from Restoring, and I know it's been a minute, but we finally back to this YouTube stuff. New camera, new mic, new everything. So let's get right into it. Today, I got these 2012 Bred 4's, midsoles super cracked up, uppers very dirty. Gotta give these a nice repaint. I'm gonna go with a vintage look on these because instead of going with the white paint, I'm gonna go with an off-white just to match the new buck up top because it has aged a little bit. So I'm not gonna go with a white because it'll just look unnatural, and I'm also gonna leave these caps yellowed along with the off-white midsole that I'm gonna be doing just to give it that super vintage look. Now here's just an up-close look at the shoes. As you can see, midsole super cracked everywhere on the shoe, paint completely messed up. The new buck up top has aged nicely. It's just gonna need a nice little cleaning and reconditioning of the material. First thing we're gonna do, get this new buck nice and clean. So let's do it. Alright, so first things first, I'm gonna be removing all the small little rocks and pebbles that are underneath the sneakers with this little pick that I have. You can see outsole is very dirty. Upper's not really that dirty, but I still want to give them a nice deep cleaning. Me personally, I use Angela's Easy Cleaner. There's no right or wrong cleaner to use. It's just really based off of personal preference. I like Angela's Easy Cleaner. It gets the job done. It's cheap. So let's get to removing all these rocks first. So for the most part, I took off all the rocks and the little dirty spots that were in there. The rest of it will come off while I'm cleaning the sneaker. Next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna cut off these laces just because for every restoration that I do give a brand new pair of laces. So I'm just gonna cut these off, throw these in the garbage. Got the laces off. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna throw a shoe tree in here just so I could help regain the original form of the sneaker. Try to take out the creases a little bit as well. As you can see, the shape toe is a little bent. You'll see right now after I put this shoe tree in. Regains that shape. Next thing I'm gonna do with my small detail scissors, I'm gonna cut off any loose threads that the sneaker has just to try to give it as clean of a look as possible. Now that I got all the loose threads cut off, I'm just gonna pass over it one time with a dry brush just to try to get all the top dirt off the sneaker. It's always good to peel back the tabs like how the 4's have. So they have these two tabs on the front, these two tabs on the side, and the tab in the back, just for the reason that over the years dirt can build up behind the tabs, and a lot of people kind of leave that unnoticed, but we're gonna take care of that. Shoes already starting to look a bit cleaner. This is the one that I just dry brushed off. You can see just by removing the dirt with a dry brush, some of the original color of the new buck has come back. I have to do this shoe. Once again, you gotta get behind the tabs because that dirt does build up over time. Right, so now I got both of the sneakers completely brushed off. Now we can go ahead and start with this cleaning. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a soft bristle brush from Rejuvenator. Love the Rejuvenator brushes. I'm gonna dip it in my water and solution mixture, right? But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to get off as much water off the brush as possible because it is a 9-year-old pair of sneakers. So I just wanna lower the risk of messing up this new book by as much as possible before I start cleaning them. Now I'm going to be taking out the shoe tree, taking out the insole, showing some love to the inside of the sneaker. Now I'm going to work on the tongue, on the inside of the tongue and the lining of the sneaker. Now I'm going to start working on the outsoles. I'm not really going to clean the midsoles much just because all this paint has to get taken off anyways, but I am going to clean the caps. So let's get started with that. For the caps and the outsole, I'm going to be using a stiff brush from Rejuvenator. I got the caps pretty clean. All of these markings and scuffs will come off with acetone, so I'll take care of that later, but now I'm going to start working on the outsole itself. So once again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, but what I personally like to do, I like to go in 3 different patterns. I like to go straight back and forth, then I like to turn the seeker to the side, go sideways, and then lastly, I like to go in circles. Once again, no right or wrong way to do it, just how I personally prefer to clean sneakers. Then lastly, the last way I like to clean outsoles, once again, this step is nowhere near required. It's just something I like to do just to try to get the cleanest outsoles possible. I use a cleaning brush and I attach it to my drill. I dip it in the solution and I let this clean the outsole. Once again, I only use this for the outsoles. I wouldn't recommend using it on the uppers unless you get a softer bristle like this one here, much softer, but this I only use for leather shoes. So once again, this strictly for the outsole. So this drill is about to die, so I'm gonna have to switch it. Much better. Right now, as you can see, just after the cleaning, sneaker looks in way better condition. New buck looking almost back to its original color. Outsoles, huge difference. Pods back to white, everything looking good. So now let's get started with this left shoe. This right shoe I'm gonna be putting in front of my fan. Now that both shoes are fully clean, I'm gonna put them in front of the fan. Well, I'm gonna put this left shoe in front of the fan, let it dry alongside with the right one. Then when they're dry, we'll be ready for the prep work. Alright, the Bred 4's are finally dry. As you can see, uppers looking much better than they were before. Focus. Much better, much richer black. Now the next thing we have to do, we have to tape up the uppers, tape off the bottoms so we can strip these midsoles. I'm going to be going for the natured alcohol instead of acetone just because it is less harsh on the midsole itself and I don't want to cause any deformities on the midsole, so I'm going to be going with the natured alcohol and some cotton balls to strip these midsoles. But first, let's tape them up. Alright, so let's get started with taping up these 4's. first shoe all taped up, ready to be stripped. Now we're gonna repeat with the other shoe. Alright, we have both shoes fully taped up, ready to be prepped. I'm gonna be once again using the nature alcohol and some cotton balls. Got the midsoles nice and stripped. Time to remove this tape off. As you can see, the tape job came out good because there's no runoff of the denatured alcohol or the paint on the uppers. Next thing we're gonna do, just use a little bit of acetone to remove the scuffing from the caps. I'm gonna be repeating this process for the other shoe, but I'm gonna be doing this one off camera to preserve battery for the camera. Alright, scuffs taken off the caps. Now I'm just gonna do the exact same thing to this shoe, and then when we're done, I'll come back at you guys when we tape up for the repaint. Alright, so now that we have the sneakers fully stripped of all the old paint, it's time to retape them up just so I can lay down the paint. Today I'm going to be going with, once again, the vintage look, so I'm going to be going with off-white and some black paint. For the off-white, I just mixed some regular white Angeles paint with some cream Angeles paint to get the off-white vintage feel. Right now, let's tape these back up. Alright, we have the entire shoe taped up, ready for a repaint. But first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tape up this shoe the same way I just did this one, because I'm going to be doing both pairs at the same time. So this pair I'll be doing off camera, so I'll be right back at you when this one is done. Alright, we have both sneakers fully taped up, ready to be repainted. Once again, we're going to be going off-white paint and black paint. Along with my paintbrush, I'm going to be going about 10 to 12 layers of paint just to give it a nice coat, a nice strong coating of paint. Because if I was to do like 3 to 4 thick layers of paint, that paint will eventually crack easily. So going through and putting down 10 to 12 layers of paint is going to give you a nice long lasting paint job. So let's get started with that. As you can see, I'll just be using my heat gun just to help the paint dry as fast as possible so I can get this repaint done as fast as possible. see, this is about 9 layers of off-white paint. I'm going to be covering this with black, so the next 3 coats I'll be doing in all black, but now it's time to paint the rest of the midsole. So once again, I have 9 layers of paint on these midsoles. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna focus on this bottom half with the last 3 layers of the off-white paint. Then once that's dry, I'm gonna tape these off so I can do the remaining 3 layers of black on the uppers. Alright, so now that I have all the off-white paint layered, what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be taking off the tape off the top, just so I can make sure I lay down the black paint correctly and make it easy for myself. So let's do that. As you can see, tape job was done beautifully. No paint on the uppers whatsoever. Now, the next thing I have to do, I'm going to be taping off this bottom half right here just so I can lay down the black paint on this top piece. Alright, so now we have the bottom half fully taped off. Now it's time to go lay down this black paint. This time, I'm going to be using a smaller paintbrush. Alright, now we have all the tape off the sneaker. As you can see, the repaint came out super fire. Let that focus. Super clean. Off-white with the vintage look. Once again, looks much better than a regular white paint would have looked. It calms the sneaker down a little bit, matches with the yellow cap that I left on. Super clean repaint. Once again, I'm going to be doing this shoe off camera. Once I'm done with this shoe, I'm going to throw the fresh new laces on them. Then I'll show you guys how they look. Alright, now we have both shoes fully repainted. Repaint on both shoes came out super clean, super fire. Boom, the off-white finish definitely matches the tone, the age of the shoe. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna throw some Krylon matte finish on these outside, come back in, let them dry for a little bit, throw the new laces on them, then I'll show you guys how they came out. Alright, we're back inside, Krylon matte finish is dried. Now I'm gonna throw the new laces on. Alright, Got the shoes laced up. One of the second to last thing that I'm gonna do. Here we go. Second to last thing I'm gonna do, throw some mink oil on these. Try to darken up the nubuck a little bit. Also recondition them a little bit as well. Throw some mink oil on these. Then I'm gonna throw one of our tags on them just because I'm gonna quality check them after I throw the mink oil. And then that'll be the restoration. Alright, everything's done. Mink oil applied. I quality checked them. Drew on our Restore Rain tag on them. This is how the midsole repaint came out, guys. Once again, went with the off-white finish instead of a white just to match the age of the sneaker. In my opinion, it looks gorgeous. All around, line work very clean. Nubuck back to its original color. Again, I love this vintage feel, how the yellow toe caps match the off-white, match the aged nubuck up top. Very clean restoration overall, and I'm not just saying that because it's my work. Super clean job. If you guys are interested in seeing more of these sneakers, before and after photos will be posted on our Instagram at restore.rain. So go drop a follow. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you at the next one. Peace.